She stood at the gate like she owned the world, sunglasses flashing chin high. That I get what I want look. Open the gate now, she barked, waving her polished hand like I was her employee. Behind her, a line of SUVs stretched down the lakeside road. People in fancy clothes stepped out carrying trays of food and champagne, laughing like they were at some private resort. But this wasn't their resort. This was my land. And I wasn't moving that gate for anyone. This is private property. I said, calm but firm. The gate stays closed. Her name was Linda, but around here, everyone called her Karen, the self-appointed queen of the local HOA. She ran the neighborhood like it was her personal empire. A week earlier, she'd slipped a fake community notice under my door, saying all residents must share lake access for HOA events. I laughed. My property was legally fenced off long before the HOA even existed. But now, here she was, inches from my face, pretending she had power. You don't understand, she snapped. This is a community event. You can't deny access. I can, I said, raising my phone camera. And I just did. Her lips tightened. If you don't open that gate in 10 seconds, I'll have you fined and evicted. I smiled, then called the cops. That hit a nerve. She spun toward her guests and shouted, "He's threatening us." Someone called the police. I didn't move. I'd seen louder, meaner people before, back when I wore a uniform and carried more than patience. Inside the house, my daughter peeked through the window, worried. I gave her a small nod. It was fine. I had this handled. Minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up, lights flashing, sirens cutting through the music. Karen ran to them like a movie, director yelling orders. "Officer, arrest him. He's blocking community property." One officer walked up to me. "Sir, can we see some ID?" I handed it over calmly and pointed at the steel sign bolted to the gate. Private land, owned by Jake Miller. Karen laughed, loud and fake. "He made that sign himself. The HOA owns this area. I have paperwork." She waved a folder in the air. I could see the HOA logo printed across it, probably made on her home printer. The officer flipped through it, frowning. "Sir, do you have proof this is your property?" I nodded, reached into my pocket, and pulled out my folded deed, signed and stamped years before her HOA even existed. Karen's smile cracked. The officer turned to her. "Ma'am, this land isn't under HOA control." She froze, but only for a second. Then came that smug smirk. "That can't be right," she said. "I know people in City Hall." I almost laughed. "Then maybe call them, because you're about to be on camera trespassing." Something changed in her eyes. Rage. Fear. But she still refused to back down. The cops drove off after warning her to leave. And that's when she hissed, "You'll regret this. You think that badge in your past still makes you special?" I stopped cold. She wasn't supposed to know that. She leaned closer. "Yeah," she whispered. I checked the records. Ex-military, lost your wife, raising a kid alone. Sad story, Jake. Maybe you're not stable enough for lakefront property. Her words hit harder than I wanted to admit, but I didn't show it. "You really did your homework," I said. "Too bad you didn't read the law." Then she turned to her guests and screamed, "He's a threat. He's armed." Phones came out. Someone dialed 911 again. I raised both hands, calm and steady. "No one's armed here, but you are trespassing, and that's about to be your real problem." Her face twisted. She was losing control, and everyone saw it. She stormed to her SUV, popped the trunk, and started unloading folding tables, coolers, and a giant banner. HOA's summer celebration. She wasn't leaving. She was setting up camp. Music blasted. People danced just feet from my gate. My daughter came outside, recording everything on her phone. "Dad," she whispered, "is she allowed to do that?" I looked at the crowd, laughing, cheering, pretending they were right. "No," I said softly. "But she's about to find out what happens when she pushes the wrong man." I walked back inside, calm but focused, because sometimes the quietest person at the gate is the one you should never push too far. I checked the footage from my security cameras, the ones she didn't know about. Every word, every threat, every fake claim, all recorded. Karen thought yelling made her powerful. But proof? Proof burns louder than any lie. The music outside grew even louder. Country pop echoing across the lake like a bad joke. Karen was dancing now, wine glass in hand, pretending nothing was wrong. Her guests laughed. But some were shifting uneasily, their eyes darting toward the cameras lining my fence. They could feel it too. Something was about to go very wrong. I leaned against the porch railing, phone in hand, quietly sending clips to a friend at the sheriff's office. We'd served together once, back when problems were solved with calm precision, not shouting matches. I didn't like pulling favors, but this wasn't about pride anymore. It was about peace. Then came her voice again, sharp and mocking. "Hey, soldier boy, come join the party." "Oh, wait, you weren't invited." Her laughter rang out, brittle and forced. I stayed silent, because silence, real silence, has a way of scaring loud people more than shouting ever could. That's when I heard it. Engines. 3 pickup trucks rumbling down the gravel road from the far end. Karen froze mid-laugh. The county trucks had arrived. Code enforcement. The lead officer stepped out. Calm, serious. The kind of man who didn't waste words. "Ma'am," he said, "we've received multiple reports about an unauthorized gathering on private property." Karen rushed forward, papers in hand. No, you don't understand. This is HOA land. We're just hosting a community event." The officer nodded slowly. "That's interesting," he said, "because according to county maps, this entire area belongs to Jake Miller. You're currently trespassing." Her jaw dropped. "That's not possible. I run this neighborhood." He looked past her at the crowd. "Everyone not listed on this deed. Please step back behind the road line now." And just like that, the show began to crumble. Plates hit the ground. Chairs folded. Whispers replaced laughter. Her guests packed up faster than a storm cloud clearing the sky. But Karen didn't move. She stood there, trembling, not from fear, but from fury. Her eyes locked on me. "You did this," she hissed. "You called them. You think you've won?" I walked toward the gate, voice low and steady. "No, Karen, I didn't win. You just lost what little respect anyone ever had for you." Her lip quivered, not from sadness, but rage. Then she said something that made everyone stop. "You have no idea who I really am." And for the first time, I realized she wasn't bluffing. Her voice trembled, but her eyes were on fire. "You think this is over?" she said. "You embarrass me. You'll regret that." The officer beside her cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'll need to see your identification." She hesitated, then reached into her purse. "Not for an ID, but for a badge." "I'm with county planning," she snapped. "I have full authority over these developments." The officer took the badge, turned it over, studied it, then looked up. "This is fake." The silence that followed was heavier than the music had ever been. Her guests froze. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. Karen's voice cracked. "No, it's not. My brother, he works downtown. He said I could." "Ma'am," the officer interrupted, "impersonating a government official is a felony. Turn around, please." Her hands shook as the cuffs clicked shut. Phones came up. The same people who'd laughed at her jokes were now filming her downfall. Her perfect party had turned into the one thing she couldn't control, a public humiliation. As they led her toward the patrol car, she turned back to me, eyes blazing. "You ruined me," she spat. I met her gaze, calm, steady. "No," I said quietly. "You did that yourself." When the cars finally drove away, the lake fell silent again, just a soft sound of water and wind through the trees. My daughter walked out, slipping her hand into mine. "Is it really over, Dad?" she asked. I looked at the sunset shimmering across the lake, the same water I'd worked, fought, and bled to protect. "Yeah," I said softly. "Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't make noise. It just brings peace." That night, as the last light faded over the water, I understood something. This wasn't just about a gate. It was about every person who's ever been told they don't belong where they've worked hard to stand. Because some battles aren't fought for land, they're fought for dignity. And tonight, dignity won.